Good Lord. I have definitely consumed about 25 hours worth of legal drama essentially. I don't know. That being said, welcome to Adam's Chase podcast. I appreciate you being here. I'm very fucking tired. I'm so exhausted, but I wanted to compile this and take all of this entire Rust trial in, the case of involuntary manslaughter against Hannah Gutierrez in the state of Mexico, who is the armor of the unfortunate circumstance that is Rust, with the death of Helena Hutchins, and it's a very serious case for sure. Um, I there's going to be some goofs, there's going to be some gaffes, but that is in no way of disrespecting Helena Hutchins. And just to at least like shout out some of her credits in the projects that she has worked. For those of you who don't know, um, and also for those of you who don't know, welcome. Uh, I'm gonna break out into a whole legal ass podcast episode, but it's not. This is gonna be like a one off. You know what I mean? Like I ain't gonna be doing this shit all the time. Although I'm gonna keep up with this trial because it's gonna go on until I think March 8th is when they're gonna start making decisions, or March 7th. We're gonna get into it. So for those of you who don't know, Helena Hutchins is a Ukrainian cinematographer, director of photography, or DP, who has gotten so many, so much film education from like accredited universities, and also a master's in AFI, which is insane. For those of you who don't know, AFI is a very prestigious school. And I do have another podcast with also somebody who works at AFI, or worked there, I think. Christine Chen, my co-host for the Get Realisms podcast. Yeah, it's a very prestigious institute. The American Film Institute is definitely regarded as like one of, if not the best, like, one of the best, I guess, yeah, film school education that you can get. Some definitely out of my price range, but that's neither here nor there. She has gotten a lot of projects underneath her belt, and she got shows, she got shorts. She had I think she did like music videos, I guess. Um let's see. So she okay. Well, a lot of these we probably haven't heard of. Some of them a lot of them I haven't heard of. Except for Arch Enemy. Came out in 2020. It's it's just like a cool little like action flick from guy from Magic Mike. I'm forgetting his name. Jesus. What kind of a filmmaker are you, Adam? If you don't know these names, listen. There's a lot of names that I had to keep up with. So, anyways, Helena Hutchins has a huge filmography under her belt. Arch Enemy, Blind Fire, The Mad Hatter. I guess there was a movie with that. That's insane. That's awesome. Um, a show, couple of shows, I think. So she's very, very well respected in a pretty good filmography. Something that was something that was only really probably for the beginning for Helena Hutchins in terms of how much she was passionate about film as this entire case unfolds. So one thing I can probably talk about is that everyone who talked about Helena Hutchins is in such a great light in just celebrating the work that she has done, in my opinion. And I feel like the filmmakers who have taken part in this set, in this set, from the grips to the medic to all sorts of people that we're going to go through today. React style, by the way. Watch out. It's heartbreaking, but also you feel the love coming from all of these filmmakers. And it's honestly kind of a beautiful thing to see that, like, being part of the film industry here in Austin, like, I felt like we're such like a tight-knit community in Austin where at some point, like, we run into each other quite a bit, and from all different departments too, right? And me working in art department, it's not like the most sought out jobs out there, but the jobs, the gigs that I have gotten, I'm very, very thankful for. Even the commercials, and the shorts and the features and whatnot, shit shows or not, they're still something that I'm very, very proud of. And we always kind of like, check up on each other and kind of like, be a friend for everyone. Even if, some of us barely know each other, we only know each other by work and by set, we're still feel like, there's a family out there, there's a whole film community that really gives a shit about each other. So to see that in this case, in this trial with Helena Hutchins, with all the witnesses, the filmmakers that have, talked about the incident, every single one of them have not done like a contrived or a, shoehorned, complimentary breakfast of whatever the fuck that just kind of like blows too much like air, but shows how much these people from the grips and in every other department had really meant to her or to them, how she meant to all of them. And it's, like I said, it's beautiful to see, but it's also equally heartbreaking. So without further ado, we're going to get into some heavy shit. However, once we go down the line, you guys, when I say that it's a courtroom drama, it's a fucking courtroom drama. It's kind of wild. You know what I mean? And shout out to Emily D. Baker and Runkle, I think. Runkle of the Bailey, I think. Yeah, Runkle. They're both lawyers, Emily and Runkle, and they're both like really fucking good. And they break down all the legal shit that they say that I still don't quite understand. I heard it all the time in movies and shit. And I'm just like, I think I know what that means. And then they're like, I actually just don't know shit. So, hearing that is kind of refreshing for the dummies like me. So, getting into it. All right. All right. So, here's what we're going to do. So, the first 3 days of the trials I've covered on previous episodes. I don't know why this keeps getting out of focus, but this is pissing me off. Hold on. We're doing this. We're keeping all this in. This is phenomenal fucking content, and you know it. Okay, so The first 3 days of the trial is kind of a little while. Oh my God. Come on, man. Really? Does that look bad? Does that look bad? All right. I hope that doesn't. All right. We're back. So I want to get into the first 3 days, like kind of like a speed run of it. I don't have any clips to show you because I took way too goddamn long with getting like these timestamps with like 20 different like tabs open. So I didn't get time for the first 3 trials, but I did cover them in the last episode. Briefly on most of them, but yeah, it's pretty much like day 3 was like forensics and stuff, and I found it a little bit interesting in terms of like with DNA and how they tested the gun and the shot of the gun. Oh, Jesus Christ, what am I doing? So for those of you who don't know the incident, I'm just gonna give a brief synopsis before my brain just goes into a million different fucking tangents. So what the incident was that in October 21st, 2021, while they were in week 3 of shooting a feature, which is Rust, that starred Alec Baldwin. And Alec Baldwin is also a producer on this said feature. And he's one of many producers. And we're gonna get into that. It's a little bit of Hollywood accounting for y'all. Some juicy stuff. But anyways, so there is Alec Baldwin, who is the lead actor, and then there is Joel Souza, who's the director, and Helena Hutchins, who's the DP. I think I'm going to stick it to the same thing. I think I'm just going to keep addressing these people as like, by their job titles, just so I'm not just flooding all y'all with like names that none of you are going to probably even remember. So it's just going to be easier to just name their positions. So that's not like, what I'm saying is like a, like a pejorative or anything like that. I just did start to keep up with names. Okay. I forgot the guy's name from Archangel. He's from Magic. Joe Manganiello. See? Tangent time. Jesus Christ. Joe Manganiello. That's his name. He just popped in my brain. Goddamn. So, the incident. October 21st, there was this pretty off day of shooting because the night before, on the 20th, that night, the camera team left due to 2 confirmed misfirings. I've been told there was 3. I read that there was 3 for some reason. I don't know why, but every time they brought it up in this case, they only talked about 2, I think. And it's a lot that I've watched. Like I said, 24 hours. So I could be missing some shit, but I'm pretty sure they only confirmed 2 accounts of negligent discharge. Okay, so the camera team who noticed these negligent discharges were rightfully kind of protesting and sending emails to producers and above the line and telling them, hey, this set is not safe because there were, discharges of weapons that weren't supposed to be discharged. So, yeah, we're out. Peace out. Amongst other things, too, right? There was pay and there was lodging, apparently. And then, I don't want to get into the weeds of all that. So that became that became that night where camera team left. And then that next morning, missing basically half the camera team, or probably more than half, they had to move forward with shooting the movie that day with one camera, which they had two cameras. But one of the operators of the second camera just was like, "Yeah, no, fuck this. I'm not going to jeopardize my safety, by stupid discharges that people are obnoxiously too close to or can hear within proximity that is loud, right? Because these are from revolvers on a Western movie that are really loud when you put in blanks in them." I've only heard it one time, but it wasn't related to a shoot, actually. So I never really heard blanks before until that one time working with One Armor. And I got to tell you something. It sounds like a fucking gun. It's loud. When you put it with blanks, it's loud, right? And so with those blanks, that is what struck and unfortunately killed the director of photography, Helena Hutchins. And so it went through her and into Joel Souza, the director of the film. And they were just sitting by a monitor. And how it happened was Alec Baldwin, I showed a brief clip. Alec Baldwin pulled back the hammer. According to him, he pulled back the hammer, didn't pull the trigger, and it shot. Then the FBI investigated the gun and said that it's damn near fucking impossible to shoot a gun or shoot a revolver of that kind. Pulling the hammer all the way back doesn't just automatically snap the hammer into, the primer, into the bullet, and then, discharge, right? Bullet time or non-bullet time in the case of blanks. Or there's dummies, right? And we'll get into dummies later because Jesus Christ, I feel like a dummy talk about dummies. So when the blank expelled out of the gun that was shot by Alec Baldwin, who's the lead actor, of course, he did not realize that there were, I guess, blanks. But what they found out, and it's conclusive, that there were live rounds on the set. And not only live rounds on the set, there was one live round that was in that gun that struck Helena Hutchins, fatally, ending her life and essentially maiming Joel Souza. And that was a real bullet. And it lodged into his shoulder, Joel Souza's shoulder. So it's horrible, right? So then we gotta talk about the armorer, who is the subject in this case, the suspect, I guess, who is being charged for involuntary manslaughter. Now, she's the armorer of the set. So for those of you who don't know armorers, I know I mentioned it a little bit ago, but armorers are essentially in charge of firearms, sometimes even like certain like bandoliers and whatnot that you can only get from an armorer, depending on how great the armorer is and whatnot. You can even get like fake guns too from them as well, because you would need armorers and such. So the armor, so the big question with the armor and this case in general, the big picture is, where did the live rounds come from? Because they were found on a prop cart that was supposedly secured by the armor and the prop master. The prop master, we're going to get into her story a little bit later. There's a whole thing with that, right? So with the armorer, So in the beginning of this trial, I'm not going to lie, I was rooting for her almost, because in my opinion, with all of the other players of this story, from the first AD to prop master to even some of the above the line, they were kind of like absolutely uncharitable. I felt like there was some sort of, way for the armor to get some fucking, justice and whatnot. So let's just get into it, okay? We're just gonna hop right in. So the first clip is so just to lay out some backstory. We're gonna start off with day 4 of this hearing, because the first 3 days, like I said, they're like the technicalities, and there's a good amount of development from the defense side, which is the armorer's side, and her defense attorneys and all that. We're making some pretty crazy, I will say, assumptions at this point. At the time, I was like, I thought it was like crazy discoveries, but apparently it's just nothing but assumptions. That there are people essentially scapegoating her for, essentially the incident with Helena Hutchins. And this is particularly a problem because turns out that there were so many parts of this production in different departments that have, well, I don't want to say different departments, more so just the just prop master and the first AD. They're the bigger players of this story, and equally infuriating. So this is essentially the timeline of events that unfolded with this case. If for those of you who don't know, and we're just going to go through the cliff notes of it, okay? So starting off with day 4, okay? So this is the first interrogation of the armor, and this is literally just like it's like 2 hours since the incident. So just to give a little bit of context, there is the armor does not know that the DP Helena Hutchins has passed away. So these police officers, and this is the lead detective. Her name's Colonel Hancock. So she's wild, man. So she during this entire investigation and interrogating the armor, who's this lady right here, she she essentially befriends her and just kind of like, makes her feel comfortable and makes her feel like, she's being listened to and yada yada, which I've watched enough JCS videos to know that that's a very good strat. It's a good tech. It's a good technique for detectives to do. So props to her. So in this clip, this is one of the thousands of infuriating things that happened in this interrogation, which is the first interrogation. One of them being that the armorer had rounds in her pocket that she took out of the gun that was in Alec Baldwin's gun. That one bullet struck both Helena and Joel, the director, and she kept those rounds, including the spent casing, in her fucking pocket. I shit you not.
Yelled at, and I ran out, and Dave brought me the gun, and I opened the gun up, and one of the dummies somehow had been discharged.
And can you kind of explain a little bit more what you mean by that it was discharged?
So if I had a bullet, wait, I had some dummies.
Oh, yeah, I had a bullet. I don't know. Oh, yeah, here we go. Let me just pull it out of my pocket. Like the fact that like I watched this on stream while it was like I just caught the tail end of it when I was in the rewind, and I saw in the comments or in the chat that like the fact that like the cops are not like nailing her to the ground for like not being searched, like it could be deemed a fucking threat. You carried bullets inside of a police station, dog? I'm sorry, what?
Right, check these out. I wish it had just been
Right, y'all, check these out, dog.
But,
My
see
God.
how these have,
Somebody
like,
died, by
little-
the way.
Okay.
Jesus.
This one doesn't have a primer, right? And most of them, like, they have, like, the primers, but the primers aren't, like, hot. Like, I've never had one with a hot primer before.
Okay.
So that seems pretty weird to me. But, so basically, this part...
So the thing that infuriates me the most is that she says that there's some with, okay, so primers are like a little cap on the bottom of the bullet that when the hammer goes through with the firing pin, that firing pin hits that primer and just fucking shoots out the bullet, you know? And with the blank, you hear, when you shake the bullets, you hear little BBs in there. And depending on what type of bullet it is, it could be a quarter load, half load, or full load. Full load is like mega bullet fucking like ripping through thin air shit, right? Quarter load is like, I guess, safe for camera distance, which still doesn't make any fucking sense to me because like that can't be true. Like there's only a safe amount of distance that none of these fuckers ever paid attention to, that you should never fire certain blanks in a certain amount of distance because the impact, like the velocity of the bullet coming at you or supposedly at you, no bullet or not, is still pretty fucking jarring. And the BBs are still like they're a projectile. Like they can still hit something, you know? Unfortunately though, in her case, there was a live fucking round and she is like, yo dog, like check this out, that's cool. It's like, I mean, you could have brought live rounds into the Santa Fe, New Mexico police station. Like that's
When a bullet shoots,
okay. No, we don't need it. We need to get into that. She kind of goes on and on and on. So this next one is especially juicy, right? Because like this is the second interview, and this handsome bald gentleman with a phenomenal luminosity density on his bald dome. It's pretty nice. You can see a lot of the light fixtures in the courtroom when you see the reflection off his head. It's pretty sick, in my opinion. So this is the second interview, which happened, if you see that date, it's just happened like a few weeks after the incident. And so detective, or colonel, I think, got some pretty juicy fucking, like, not juicy, some pretty damning fucking details that ideally would be shaking their fucking world. This gentleman here is her lawyer, the armorer's lawyer. So the armorer is being represented by this dude, and just, I mean, you know, JCS style, watch their faces, watch their reaction, and you tell me how they look.
So, obviously everybody has said, you know, no one ever suspected live rounds to be on the set.
Yeah,
That's a given. Live rounds aren't allowed.
absolutely not. And especially when it hadn't been brought to set or anything like that, either.
Right. So the thing is, there are other live rounds that were found in other various places,
Really?
not in that box.
Really? Where were they found?
I'll go through the
The lawyer is silent, by the way. Like so many, like both of the lawyers that were covering this trial was so fucking funny. They're like, I would be like on the table, like screaming right now. Like I just shut up and don't talk. Like now, this could be a suspect case. You got to shut the fuck up, because they absolutely use this against her, which when they broke it all down, she overshared between this interview and the first interview, like almost everything, essentially. So it not only became an uphill battle for the defense, now it's just became a free base. Like it's like just climbing those rocks with no like rope and shit. It's just like you're just free climbing, free basing. Jesus Christ, Adam. Free climbing, a rock, just going straight up. It is baffling to fucking see, and equally infuriating because so when I first started with this trial, I defended her because I felt like there were also other guilty parties. Clearly, there had to been, right? Turns out I was wrong. She is absolutely guilty. She has done the things that she has. But in terms of the charges against her, I think is a little much. I'll explain it later. But yeah, I think that what has gone on, especially what lives in all of these fucking tabs, is just going to be a reaffirming thing that the armor really, really fucked up. But also, she ain't the only one. There's a lot of people to share this fucking blame.
The pictures, because I can't, there's like so many different areas, and well, I'm going to go over that with you guys, okay?
Yeah, that's news to me. Wow.
News to me.
So they weren't all in that block.
Okay.
And also too, like the carelessness, like I would be shitting myself right now. Like if I was the armor and I was this inexperienced, and I am very inexperienced, I would get up and leave. Like I would just be like, am I in custody right now? I gotta go. Like I would drag his ass out of there and just be like, yo, we gotta, this is, she is way too comfortable and way too relaxed to just be like, wow, you found live rounds? That's crazy, dude. So, later on in this trial, they brought in a witness, by the name of Gabrielle Pickle, who is the line producer. And so for those of you who don't know the line producer, they are in charge of the money, the budget of the set. So they're the ones who will tell you like, hey, yeah, we can afford a reshoot, or we're losing so much, we're hemorrhaging money that we might not have anything to spare tomorrow. So we're going to start eating bags of potato chips from somebody's trunk. I don't know. No, I'm playing. But basically they are in charge of the money and everything that is like, going in and out of that set. So she has an important job. And this clip that I wanted to show, it's nothing really like special with this witness stand. Other than that, like, the armor had, she should have had more armor, or the entire set be armor days, and she had to share a separate art department position, which is basically props, or props assistant, sorry. And she had to assist prop master, who we're going to be get to know here in a little bit. She had to share between two jobs, the armor. So she had to do props assistant and she had to do armor. And so she has talked to this line producer, apparently, a couple of times, a few times, about getting more days as an armor, because ideally, being an armor is important because you have weapons that kill people, So anyways.
And with regard to non-blank days, were those all prop days?
Yes.
Okay. So if there weren't blanks being fired, even if there are firearms being used, those are props days.
Correct.
Okay. Now,
Am I at the wrong spot? Hold on.
didn't you attend and witness some of the
He's also very so he kind of sounds like he kind of sounds like Hank Hill, but looks like Mr. Clean. You know, he's like, now, do you understand that I'm trying to do my job here?
trainings that Miss Gutierrez Reed had done? You said you spent an hour at the one.
Mm-hmm.
And were you impressed at how
That's,
she
by the way,
handled-
that's a defense attorney speaking. The Hank Hill dude, Mr. Clean, he is the defense attorney for the armor
the training?
for Hannah.
I was.
Okay.
I learned a lot.
Okay, I feel like I fucked up here.
About the training?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Did I fuck up?
Do you know approximately how long that training was?
Oh, this is it.
No, I was only there for probably an hour.
Okay. Did you see Mr. Baldwin there being trained?
He was not at that training. No. He was not in the state at that point.
Okay. And ma'am, do you know if he at one point was able to attend some type of training with Miss Gutierrez Reed?
He did.
Did you witness that training?
I did not.
Okay. So you don't have any personal knowledge of observing it, but you do know that it happened.
I know that it was on the schedule. That is the extent of my personal knowledge.
And for context, basically, Alec Baldwin blew off that safety meeting, of course, because the armor only had her. This is her second set, so why the fuck should Alec Baldwin be listening, right? Well, wrong. You always listen to an armor. Doesn't matter who it is. They are in charge of fucking guns, dude. And speaking of guns, we're gonna go ahead and fast forward here to the next day 6, right? Right. So there's this badass dude who was the first in the witness stand. Also a filmmaker. Military contractor, cop, and then turned into armor and owner of a production house or a prop house. I don't know, but he's a producer and he's an armor and he's gotten like dozens of sets underneath his belt. And I think his first one was Deja Vu with Denzel, and that's crazy. It's a great movie. So he kind of I will say he kind of roasts the armor a little bit for this set, and this is the armor, by the way. So he basically is the witness expert, what these lawyers call, and that's basically like a guy who you would want to be like, okay, this is exactly what an armor is supposed to do, what they're not to do. This is my military training. These are my credentials. So I know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. So he is literally breaking down a BTS video, I guess, of Hannah essentially, standing by with a weapon with what I assume, the weapon belonging to this guy in the tan coat. So you're gonna hear I don't know if you're gonna see him, but you're gonna hear the other armor, the expert armor, basically break down Russ's armor, Hannah, and her etiquette of holding weapons, considering this is her second set.
What is Ms. Gutierrez doing?
She's holding that double-barrel shotgun pointed up at her neck and face.
Just straight up.
Why would that be concerning to you?
Never let the muzzle of the weapon cover anything you're not willing to harm. It's a fundamental safety rule. You treat all weapons as they're always loaded. Also fundamental safety rule.
Goddamn. What a patriot, huh? So he's a handsome looking dude too. He got a phenomenal blue suit. You gotta check it out. So that's the witness, and basically like that dude just fucking lambasted Hannah Armour. I mean, that entire witness stand. You know, it was pretty hard to watch, but also equally very interesting in terms of the education and how he basically explains like being an armor. So the one thing that was that I mentioned earlier was that there were bullets, live rounds found on a prop cart. The guy basically broke it down and was like, okay, if you have any bullets, any weapons, anything, it would be locked up at all times, no matter what. So unless they are playing, they need to be flown into the scene, into the shot, and then being used, right? So if you don't need it, you know, they're just like, you know, monkeying around. There's a lot of behind the scenes footage that literally shows like a guy like waving a real fucking shotgun that I don't think had shells in it, so it's a cold gun, but it doesn't matter because you are literally pointing it at everybody. And the armor, Russ's armor, is nowhere to be found. You know, Hannah Armour is just nowhere to be found, and it is just baffling, to say the least. Okay? So, that being said, we're going to move on to one of my favorite portions. So we learned a little bit about a gun safety and, you know, bullets and whatnot, right? So let's get into the above the line shit, shall we? So this, you know, this guy, you know, this handsome fella is a just a producer, you know. I think a financier to be exact, but he is a producer. He does run the financials of the set, and what the defense attorney. So there's apparently 2 defense attorneys. I guess I don't know. I'm still confused by that shit. That is representing the defense side. So, you know, this other defense attorney that isn't Hank Hill, Mr. Clean, is this other lady who basically what do they call when they talk to the opposite, cross-examine. So wait. No, it's just state. Okay, so maybe not cross-examine. But anyways, the defense attorney is going to talk about a tax incentive that comes from the state of New Mexico, which is a pretty hefty incentive. And I didn't know this until they dropped that knowledge. I'll see you on the other side.
I believe anyone can invest in a film.
Okay. Is it true that a film that's made here in New Mexico can have it actually receive about 40% of its costs back as a transferable and sellable tax credit?
That's my reaction too. Literally, when I heard that, when that knowledge is dropped, 40%, all back in tax incentives. So, for those of you guys who don't know Hollywood accounting, you can probably look it up on YouTube. I think there's a few good videos on it that explain it probably better than I do. But basically, short end of it is, it's basically showing to everyone that even though a movie profited, like a Marvel movie, let's say, profited billions of dollars, it's a huge, phenomenal success, right? Well, the producers, the financiers, will turn around and say, actually, we lost a lot of money from it because of budget, marketing, you know, that's just what they claim. And it just turns out that, like, not only there's like tax incentives everywhere, most big studios go for the states that go for the highest tax incentive. And I guess state of New Mexico is pretty fucking high when it comes to that shit. So noted, you know? And yeah, it's a weird slippery slope with Hollywood accounting. I don't fully quite understand it, other than that it's just shady business that is no better than, like, you know, your run of the mill scams, you know, which movies aren't a scam. They're not. I mean, depending on what, I guess, how you feel which movie you watch is a scam or not. But especially with a lot of the big studio stuff that's been coming out lately. I mean, you know, you gotta change some shit, and Hollywood accounting is not doing any favors for the film industry. So, you know, it was kind of like a nice little call out to the above the line, you know, nice little shout out. So later in the day, in day 6, listen, you guys, this is chock full of shit. Okay. This is wild, dude. So, this guy's name is John Ziello. He's a key rigging grip. So key rigging grip, for those of you who don't know, is essentially like the one, I guess, above key grip that is, I think, one step below gaffer. I want to say. Like, just like one step, because like gaffer's run of electricity and the key grip is head of, grip, essentially. So that's why it's called G&E, grip and electric. So he is the rigging grip. So he has a pretty big job on the set. You know, he described it as, you know, basically you're just MacGyvering whatever light and whatever bounce you can get in order to get like a pretty crazy cool shot. And some of the, if y'all ever watch the trial, there's a BTS video of what they film in a church, and I gotta say, it is lit fucking wonderfully. Who I think the gaffer is also Ukrainian, and that also hit him hard. I don't know if he's going to be a witness in the future cases, but I'd be curious to hear from him, considering that he was very close to her. So anyways, this is the key rigging grip on, I think, yeah, this is about the prop cart, about all the live rounds that was soon after discovered, was just kind of, he's just kind of giving his 2 cents of like what he's been seeing with essentially negligence on a prop cart that you leave weapons and ammo strewn about, which is wild.
On 2 separate instances, I came across the cart where they moved the guns around. The armors would bring them to set and set their cart up, and on 2 separate instances, I came across that cart basically unmanned with nobody around it, and looking around.
Let me stop you there.
Mhm.
Was there anything on the cart that caused you to be concerned about the fact that it was unmanned?
Yes, there were firearms and ammunition on top of the cart.
And why did it concern you that it was unmanned?
Oh, I don't know, because they're firearms?
It's just not something you see normally on a set. It felt wrong, and it looked, anybody could have done anything they wanted to those weapons.
Which is absolutely fucking true. Very true. And also a callback to the other armor, the expert armor, mentioned that most of the time, or at least the most efficient way to go about it, if you do have a prop cart, is to have Pelican cases. That's a new strat I haven't heard of, y'all. You know, I've seen Pelican cases all over set all the time. And to keep weapons in there with a lock and shit, that's S tier strat. It's pretty amazing. So that's a key rigging grip on how crazy it is to just see a prop cart with like loose ass bullets and guns and stuff. And you will, like, if you do watch this trial, you'll hear that like, oh, there could be a level of like sabotage or whatever. For those of you who don't know, on a film set, your job in whatever respective department is sucking all of your time. For anybody to sabotage or like throw a live round from any random department is kind of silly. Do I say that it never happens? I mean, people are crazy, I'm not going to lie, but that's very strange and so odd and so, I don't know. It's just it's like working it's like working against everything. And also like being in a film set, like it's not like you're so far apart that nobody can notice that you threw some shit on an art department armorer's prop cart that's like right there, and most of the time it's right by set. So that's a little silly for anybody to be sabotaging it. You know what I'm saying? So moving on. Okay, here we go. So Dave Halls, I'll switch it in a second. Dave Halls is the first AD, the first assistant director, who basically makes sure the schedule runs smoothly throughout the day. And it usually is a safety officer too. They would be checking, calling cold gun, calling hot gun, which, means there's no rounds or there are rounds, blank rounds. So watch out. And his side of everything is pretty interesting. So the first AD essentially got a plea deal. And for those of you who don't know, it's, I guess, like basically just immunity for people, for any prosecutors or I guess law enforcement too. I don't know what the statute of limitations is on that, but they basically get immunity. So they just do a 6-month probationary period, and that's it. So keep that in mind, by the way. Definitely keep that in mind. And you're going to see how much the first AD gives a shit about safety being upheld on a set. It's kind of wild, not going to lie. And very chilling for any first AD, because any first AD knows that safety is literally the one priority that's important on a film set.
Some of those, it appeared you were present on the videos, but do you remember any instances where you felt like there was an unsafe condition with the way people were pointing their muzzles?
I did not.
No.
If I did, it was part of my practice that I always, I would say, please point the gun away if their action as an actor was to point it at another.
Oh, okay, cool. So let's see what he does here. So here is the first AD right here. That's the gentleman that you just looked at right here. Okay. So this is him. So keep your eye on him.
So let's wait before we hook him up.
Yeah, otherwise he can catch all sorts
Now,
of stuff.
And you'll see the shotgun right here, just pointing straight at the fucking AD, swinging around. The kid's holding it.
Thomas, how much blood do you think's gonna come out? If the lens is right
For
here,
the listeners,
it'll get on you from there. It'll get
it's
on the lens here.
an actor holding onto a kid while grabbing a shotgun and just swinging the shotgun everywhere. That's apparently unloaded. We don't know, whatever, yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter. It's a real fucking gun that you're swinging around all over the place. And by the way, that's even better. So that gun literally just like brushed past like camera department just like at least 3 times. So that's awesome. We love that. It's just the most important department of the entire set. You're just swinging fucking shotguns around and shit. It's bananas, you know? So that's Dave Halls. So that's how he feels about safety on a film set. And he got a 6-month probationary period with immunity, which is pretty cool, I guess. So moving on to the prop master. The prop master, another crazy story. So let's talk about it for a second. So where the set got all of these weapons and ammo from is a place, a prop house that is in Albuquerque called PDQ, which is a prop house. And they have weapons, they have blanks, they have all sorts of shit, right? And the guy who runs and operates the place is Seth Kinney. So I might just reference him as like prop house dude, or a prop master's boss, or because he doesn't really have a title other than he's just basically a supplier, and he has trained Sarah Zachary, who is the prop master, who I'm referencing, kind of like, took her under his wing, I guess. And it hasn't been substantiated yet, but I apparently there's some weird vibes with this dude. I might cover it later in the week if there's more development, especially we got to hear his witness side. And we haven't heard it yet, but we heard from the prop master, which happened earlier today. So we're basically getting caught up, I think. We're getting caught up. Actually, hold up. I got to make sure this is the right clip. 1 second.
So you made the decision to throw away the rounds and...
Oh, okay. So, all right. So, okay. So, prop master. The prop master is on the witness stand, and she has been called out because a couple things happened on set around her, and one of them, one of the incidences, was what happened after the incident happened. So, Jesus, that's too much. Sorry. So when the horrifying incident happened, just minutes afterwards, the prop master apparently got hold of the guns and had a phone call with this Seth Kinney guy, who is the prop house dude. And we don't know what happened in this phone call. And after the phone call, the prop master dumped all of the bullets into the garbage can. All the blank rounds into the garbage can. It's I'm not going to lie, it's kind of wild.
I guess so.
It's wild.
So
this is the prop
master.
master.
Decision to throw away the rounds, and you then interviewed with the police on October 21st. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And that was the same day?
Yes.
And do you recall whether you told them that you had thrown away those rounds?
I don't recall if I did or not.
Did you tell anybody else that you had thrown away those rounds?
I believe Nicole was standing there when it happened, so I'm sure she saw.
Okay.
because that's not horrible or anything like that. They're just bullets that you just throw away in a garbage can. That's normal. So that was just one of other things that unfortunately Prop Master has has just gotten just shit out of luck, I guess. I don't know, other than that, like, there's also a little bit of negligence too on her side. So another incident that happened just, I think, a week before the actual incident, there was a negligent discharge that I mentioned earlier, and she had a negligent discharge because she was I don't know what she was doing with the gun. I think she was just loading it, I guess, and she tried to I don't know why, for whatever reason, pull the hammer back, and she pulled the trigger too early, or I guess too fast, and the hammer struck it and bursted the blank that was in that cylinder. And again, blanks are loud as fuck because they are bullets with no bullet, ideally. And it shakes the entire fucking set. So, of course, set is going to hear it, and they're going to be like, what the fuck just happened? So she apparently filled out a whole incident report, and, what does that mean? I don't know. But she apparently reported it, and everything was all G, right? Well, no, because an hour before that incident, there was a negligent discharge that happened from the stunt double of, I think, Alec Baldwin's earlier that day, I think. And camera team was just outside of that place where the shot was made. So the stunt double was inside of a shack or an office or something, and the camera team was right outside of that office. And once that bang goes off, it's like getting you got your bell rung. It is loud, and you know it when you hear it, and yeah, kind of makes you wonder how or why camera team decided, yeah, you know what, fuck that. we ain't doing that shit. So moving on. This next one, I was debating whether or not I wanted to put it in, but I watched it again earlier before I started recording, when I was gathering these clips. This is just kind of some drama stuff on set. I think is interesting. We don't need to get into it, actually. You know what? We don't need to get into it. Basically, so her being the prop master means that she is watching over the armor when the armor is doing assistant props. But the problem is that she's an armor. The armor is doing armor things, and this prop master needs her to do more prop things. And the armor says, no, I'm an armor. I don't know what to tell you. I got to focus on this shit. It's important, which is arguably, yes, it is very, very important, despite the fact that she disregarded any and all safety, like having a shotgun point right at her face. But she is right? And so prop master wasn't having it, and she demanded that she, I don't know how or what provoked this, but basically she needed the help, and as a response, the armor decided to hit her with the see you next Tuesday. For those of you who don't know, now you know. And yeah, it's just some drama shit that was kind of shared in the DMs, and I was kind of debating whether or not I want to do it, and I don't want to do it anymore. I have another one. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Are you required to give truthful testimony?
Yes.
What happens to your agreement with me if you
Oh.
don't give truthful testimony?
Okay, so I know exactly what's happening. So okay, so moving on to the next piece of little thing from good old prop master herself. She hold on.
What happens to your agreement with me if you don't give truthful
testimony or that cooperation agreement anymore.
right?
Correct.
You were asked a variety of questions about whether or not you wanted to fire Ms. Gutierrez. Do you recall those questions?
Yes.
Oh, this is the thing I was talking about. God damn it. Ah, fuck this. Yeah, cut that. I don't know why. All right, so we're gonna move on. So it has been a whirlwind with all this drama, right? Everybody is throwing names and you know just saying all the mean things, throwing see you next Tuesdays, which is definitely a choice word. That's crazy. It's a little rough to drop that casually. And that was played in court, by the way. Court TV was totally cool with it too. They're like, yeah. Well, we won't bleep that. It's totally fine. So we're gonna move on to the director, Joel Souza, the one who got his arm struck, who was right behind Helena. And his side of the story is pretty interesting. The one that I wanted to highlight, though, was how he felt with Hannah, because I felt like, for some reason, the prosecution and the defense, not even the lawyers that I watch on YouTube could understand why the fuck they are doing this. It seems like they were helping each other out for some reason, and this is another one of those instances where it's like, I don't know what the fuck the prosecution is doing, but this lady, I guess, knows what she's doing, because she is just giving layups to the defense, and holds no bounds. So basically, this clip is Joel talking about the armor and the one day or it was like the first day of a gun heavy scene where it requires people on horses with guns essentially firing off shit, and that gets pretty fucking intense. And this is his reaction.
Reach out to Ms.
With my
Gutierrez
reaction.
and compliment her.
React meta.
Well, there was a day on, so I think, if memory serves, I think the first day of gunfire on the movie was day 3, because that was sort of, that day was on my mind from Jump Street with this production, because it was our biggest day of the movie. It was, just to give you sort of an idea of the scale of the day, it was not just, we had, a large part of the day was there was an enormous shootout going on between these bad guys and good guys. I think 4 people on one side and 4 people on the other side. There's an enormous amount of stunt work that goes with that.
By the way, spoilers, I guess. I don't know. There were some people in chat when I was reading it. They were kind of dumb about it. They're like, oh, dude, fucking director's giving spoilers to his own movie. It's like, okay. It's not like it's going to taint your viewing experience. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Continue,
there's
Joel.
gunfire,
Sorry.
There's the actors, but then before that, there's also, we were walking the characters through town, so the town was filled with background, which is what we call the extras who come. There were horses, there were wagons. It was an enormous day, and at the end of the day, we had made it, and it was a tough day. And when we have days like that, I generally like to go around and thank folks and congratulate people on doing a good job.
as a director does.
If I texted her that day, it would have been because I guess I just didn't find her on set at the end of it. But the day came off, and I think, you know, everybody had a big part in that. So.
Okay. And after that day, you.
So basically, he gave his flowers to Hannah, the armor, because it's a very gun heavy day, and that ain't easy for one person to do, because Brian Carpenter, who is the expert armorer, mentioned that ideally you would have another armor, or like 4 or 5 armors, if you're going to have a whole bunch of people with like machine guns or revolvers or whatever the fuck, just firearms, right? And that ain't easy to do. Balance, I guess. What do you say? 8 horses or 8 people on horses with guns? Like that's kind of wild for one person to just kind of deal with and whatnot. So yeah, it's a bit of a compliment. It's a complimentary dub for you know, the defense by the prosecutor, which is interesting to say the least. So this next one might infuriate you because it infuriated me. And the reason for that is this is an EMT who I almost got the wrong source. I was crazy. She is the set medic. Her name is Sherilyn Schaefer, and she is the set medic for Rust. And she was the first one to respond to Helena when she was struck, and she was the one to the first one to tend to her. And yeah, she gives a very, very emotional retell. A lot of these filmmakers have, and I count her as a filmmaker as well, because she's being a set medic is not fucking easy. Like, yeah, they are basic, like almost like walking Walgreens or like CVS's, where they have like ibuprofens and like creams and shit. That is like, oh shit, I didn't know I needed this. Goddamn, it's just like getting you the good old hookup. Like you know, it's like that dude from Resident Evil 4, you know, who like shows you all of his trinkets and shit, and you could buy ammo from him and shit. You know, it's basically like that for the set medic, but like CVS and shit. Shout out to the set medics. That's just what it is. And so this clip, so the defense, for some reason, when they do like cross-examinations, they just got to be straight up assholes to these witnesses that the prosecution brings up. And this great, awesome woman just fucking schools the defense on why she is not capable of extracting or giving like extensive care for anybody with gunshot wounds on a film set. I'm not shitting you. Let's fucking go.
Did you have any equipment with you on that day specifically addressed to treating a gunshot wound?
No.
You didn't have
On a film set, by the way.
chest seals?
No.
Did you have any IVs?
I am not licensed
What?
to start IVs. So I would.
She's an EMT. She's not like cooking meth.
And we are on a movie set where there should be no gunshot wounds.
Well,
So
Sorry,
would not
I trampled over what she
licensed
said.
to start
Preach
IVs.
it. Preach it, set medic.
I am not licensed to start IVs. So I would not. And we are on a movie set where there should be no gunshot wounds.
Well, are there other things on
Literally, just fucking schooled
the
her.
movie set that could cause
Got him.
a thoracic puncture on the set?
Not generally. Not generally. If there is going to be something that's going to happen where something more traumatic like that could happen, then we would request a standby ambulance to be on set with us so that we had all the gear and equipment needed, as well as additional medics to help.
But this movie had knives involved in it, right?
I could not tell you.
So
And horses?
There were horses.
Snakes?
There were wild snakes. We did not bring them onto set.
Can we approach?
and that reaction, y'all, is literally how I felt through that entire fucking witness stand. It was like great, like basically the defense was just like singling her out for like, oh, you want this shit for money, right? And it's like, no, I want just, and they use that same tactic for other people who apparently have civil lawsuits against not only just the armor, but to the first AD, to the prop master, and to the production itself. Like, there's these civil lawsuits that justifiably all these filmmakers are going to be like, yeah, we're entitled to, and we're going to sue the fucking shit out of you, which is duh, right? So, that being said, it's kind of a wild journey, to say the least. And the defense is just kind of had nothing but egg on their faces, but then like weird W's in the wrong ways. It's probably one of the wildest fucking things ever, because it goes deep into like the legal drama of it. Like there's a whole world of like lawyer drama behind the scenes apparently that I this isn't the podcast for. You know what I mean? This is for gamers and filmmakers. You know what I'm saying? And the film shakers. So we're going to be wrapping this shit up right now. We're an hour and 20 minutes. Good fucking God, this is forever. So thank you for tuning in. I love you. Like and subscribe. There is one more clip that I want to show you, and this one is the banger of all bangers. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the script supervisor, Mimi Elizabeth Mitchell. Okay? Now, this lady, and she's fucking badass once you see how she plays, dog, because of course the defense is going to go a little too fucking brazy, right? And she immediately shuts that shit down. I'm gonna let the script supervisor take it away. Oh, and by the way, so for those of you who don't know script supervisor, it's basically like all the continuity on the script and like what position camera is in and what guy, like basically what direction like the actors are in and the camera's in. The script supervisor is the one to basically log all of that. So like if an actor is picking up something with their right hand or their left hand, they mark it. The type of lens that camera uses, she marks it. She marks it all on her script. So whenever somebody needs like a line reading or maybe another department needs something continuity wise, she has pictures. She got everything. Script supervisors are life-saving on a set because nobody is going to film a movie in order. That's just most of the time it's just counterproductive in most circumstances. I know there's some sets that do, but in most circumstances it works against you. So ideally you would be filming it out of order, so you would need the script supervisor to essentially make sure the movie is all going to be in order by the time you hit post-production. So the director can just go right into the editing room with the editors and sound mixing and all that and just know exactly where the timeline and all of the footage you can gather and edit together and whatnot, you know, makes your life easier, essentially. So take it away.
All armors have to be present when a firearm is being used.
Facts.
Okay, and that wasn't my question. My question was, did you know on this movie set that the armor sometimes had to be in or near the scene when firearms were being used?
Yes.
Okay. So on those times, it would be impossible for the armorer to be at her cart too, right?
The best part is that she literally, like, she does the John Krasinski in The Office, just like literally just fucking like pants to the camera and just goes, "Are you fucking kidding me with this shit right now?" It's amazing. And her response is even better.
Well, I've never heard of that before.
Neither have I.
Well, kind of hard to be in two places at one time, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's kind of the point. Now, did you know whether this cart was shared with props and armory men?
I think it was.
So,
she's honest.
You know, you saw the messy, and you described it, your kitchen drawer where you put everything. Do you know if the props people were coming and putting their stuff on it too?
I think they were.
Okay. And so do you know who might have caused the, things to be in different places? Was it props, or you don't know who was doing that? Do you?
I do.
Who?
They were all doing it.
Okay. So did you see him?
Yes.
You saw Sarah, Zachary putting stuff on it? Yeah.
3 women at a cart. Sometimes.
Okay. Now,
I mean, yeah, she's brutally fucking honest, bro. She's like, yeah, props and armaments, the armorer has just shit strewn about. And there's photos of the investigation too. And I don't have the pictures at all because I'm exhausted and I have to pee. So I want to wrap this shit up. But basically, the prop cart that script supervisor is pointing out is like, basically like, imagine like a bedroom, like your own bedroom, but like in college, essentially. And that's how they were treating weapons and bullets that had live rounds. And one of those suspected live rounds was lodged into the director's shoulder. The one who gave, I'd say a fair and good compliment to the armorer, aside from the incident, of course, justifiably so. So, you guys, we did it. We hit an hour and 25. We almost got 90 minutes in this. It's a whole feature length, bro. It's crazy. We went through the ups and we went through the downs, and we still want to make sure that this is a reminder that safety should never be in a compromising position, because what we're doing is just making pretend. We're making movies. There's no reason for anyone to die making the shit that we make. There's no reason. And I didn't even understand it with Brendan Lee, and I also didn't understand it even when working in the film industry, how often negligent discharges happen on a film set. It happens a lot. Like, a lot. Especially from armorers who I hear from. And those same armorers are like, I never work with that person ever again. And if I see them, or if anybody like asks me about them, even if it's an actor or a director, I'm going to be like, yeah, they're pieces of shit and they don't allow a safe set whatsoever. Like, the shit plays both ways. And sometimes when you want to play on the safe side, you get fired from that set. And that was mentioned in the trial, and I thought that was so interesting, where even people who are like, even if it is your first job or your last job, it doesn't matter. It's like safety is of no importance if you are willing to just be an absolute ignorant fucking psychotic weirdo to not at least pay a little bit of attention to safety. And in this case, like, sometimes their excuse is, well, we got to rush, we got to go, we got to move. And there's even like raw footage that they showed that they included into evidence, which is fucking wild. That raw footage showed Alec Baldwin essentially shooting blanks pretty much right at fucking camera. Whether they're quarter load, full load, I can't tell because it's raw footage, but it's loud. And you can't even hear any of the dialogue or any of the action of the of the scene except for the fucking gunshots, of course. So Alec basically took any and all safety and threw it out the window. And the one important thing that I learned in the 5 years, not the one, but one of the many important things I learned on a film set, and it definitely applies to this case, is that everything trickles down. Everything. So if your example, meaning the producer and the lead fucking actor of the set, is being absolutely negligent towards safety, towards listening to an armor, and he was accounted for not only not listening to the armor on the first day of the set when they had a show and tell and the director was there and they get to pick out weapons and shit like that and run through the safety. Alec Baldwin, nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. And I mentioned earlier that incarceration is a little much for somebody like the armor in this situation. What had happened is a fucking disgrace of just not only just the film industry, but just in just humanity, period. I don't want to get fucking too heady about this, but it's like you can't teach a human being to give a shit about other human beings if they themselves cannot and do not give a shit about safety to the extent where other people are calling you out for practicing the worst kind of fucking safety you can possibly do. And this set is definitely a phenomenal example, but also like the best kind of education, because everything from the top of the line all the way to the below the line is just one fuck up after another after another. And sometimes the prosecutors have some great takes and sometimes the defense does too. It just depends. It does feel like a fucking circus. It does feel like a real ass like soap opera courtroom drama shit at times. But this is clearly a major violation on all standards. And I feel like despite how careless the safety was on all accounts, if you have the first AD who has a plea deal and getting only a 6-month probation, I understand that the armorer is literally responsible for having the firearm, having the blanks, all in the same vicinity and also loaded into the gun. It looks really fucking bad. It looks insanely bad. But if anybody knows or has anybody they know who's been through the good old American prison complex, it's horrifying. It's hell for most people. And it just doesn't make sense. Like, the people who deserve to be incarcerated are incarcerated, but the people who, do shit like this should be reprimanded for the rest of their lives and be banned from ever stepping foot on a film set. I don't think they ever will step foot on a film set, but I mean, it doesn't matter. At this point, I'm sure I hope, and maybe some of you are watching, I hope, would see this and, you know, make judgments for yourself, but also see that this is from a filmmaker's perspective, seeing this courtroom shit case happening in real time is kind of jarring. No, it's very jarring, actually. I never seen anything so fucking blatant like this ever, you know? And it makes it feel like half of the sets that I felt like were unsafe, that felt like fucking Sesame Street compared to this case. This felt like a living fucking hell for most of the crew. Random ass guns firing off and shit. You know, the crew morale is down. Everybody's talking shit amongst each other. Like, it's too much. And we lose grip on the thing that we love the most, which is just fucking making movies, man. You know, it's not that big of a deal, although it is a very big deal. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal to lose your fucking life over, you know, but it is a big enough deal to, you know, tell your story and share your art in the safest, most practical, efficient way possible when you are in, doesn't matter in what stage of production, pre-production, principal photography, or post, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It just, it's the unfortunate circumstances and why that the charges that are being brought is nor even close to being as accountable as the prop master should be accountable, who also got a immunity deal, you know, free from prosecution, I guess, and I think she has a civil lawsuit, so maybe it only covers a criminal part of that. So again, that's two people who are very much part of this entire fuckery that get away essentially scot-free, in my opinion. Meanwhile, the armorer, who may or may not be set up to fail, we're still trying to figure that out, was kind of left out to dry. And it's still a pretty big problem to me. But she is very much responsible, and she is very much is not going to I hope have a career in film industry. I don't want to bar anybody from that. I'm not a gatekeepy weirdo. But that is just too fucking much. I wouldn't even want the first AD to be near any fucking film set for anybody, much less myself. So, all in all, that's what it is, y'all. You know, that's just Adam is Chase podcast. I'm tired. It's 3 a.m, and I have a DiGiorno pizza with my fucking name on it, and I have to take the biggest pee of my life. So, thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you. I love you. I hope you're doing good. Hope you're staying safe, feeling strong, confident, and you know, till next time. This is what it is.